a young lady moves into the town of Bridgend with her father. There she encounters individuals who struggle to find meaning in life. She acquires their struggle, which leads her down a path that no one around them can understand. A dog searches for something in the woods. It comes to a person who sits strangled near a tree. The scene shifts to two people riding through a city. Another scene shows a priest in a church questioning why they lost a young man who had his life ahead of him. Then the people arrive at their new house. They brought a horse with them. The girl, Sarah, sees people leaving the funeral from her window. In the next scene, Sarah is at school. Once it is over, she is with her horse. A young lady comes to her and introduces herself as Laurel. She says her father owns the petrol station, and she invites Sarah to the lake. So they walk in the woods, and Laurel asks her if she has a boyfriend. Sarah says she does not. Soon enough, they come to the lake, where Sarah sees several people. One of them says he remembers her from when she was little. He tells Laurel to look after her. What comes next is all of them entering the water except for Sarah, though she smiles seeing them all there. After that, one of them tells her that he is Jamie and asks if she wants to come out with them on Saturday. We see her fitting in well with the group. They go to a memorial and suddenly start screaming "Mark" into the sky. This makes Sarah feel uneasy, and she starts to leave. Laurel tries stopping her, but the girl says she has to go. The next scene has the police discussing the situation that takes place in the woods. One of them says they just do it in the forest with no passing away note. After having dinner with her father, Sarah gets prepared with Laurel. The gang chases sheep outside to make themselves feel alive. They follow that by dancing elsewhere. While the girls dance, Jamie watches Sarah. Later, one of them kisses her. In a restroom, the group gives one guy a hard time about something. They enjoy themselves until Sarah's father picks her up. At home, he asks her if she likes being in this new area, and she says she does. Afterward, she climbs through the window into Thomas's home. He asks her why she came back to this place. She tells him she did not. Her father did. He tells her to spin around, and she does. Then he wants her to do it faster, so she does that too. That is when he pushes her onto the bed and gets on top of her. His hands wrap around her neck, causing the girl to struggle. She pleads for him not to continue, and after a few seconds, he lets go. They leave the room, and Thomas carries someone, perhaps his brother, into another room. Following that, Sarah comes back home. Thomas is sitting in a lost state of mind. In the morning, Jamie arrives at Sarah's home to tell her that Thomas ended his life. He leaves after saying those words. It is uncertain how Sarah feels upon hearing that. She is looking out of her window, trying to process it. After that, she comes to the police station to visit her father. What she finds is him engaged in intimacy with someone. That prompts her to leave and ring the bell from outside. He comes to it, and she asks him if he's coming home. The man tells her he cannot, because it is a hectic day. She wants to know if he can at least drive her home, and he questions why can't she just walk. Sarah leaves angrily and releases her frustration by riding her horse. In the next scene, Sarah, her dad, and many other people are at Thomas's funeral. Jamie sings as a choir boy. An image of Sarah going home gets displayed. Someone from behind takes a picture of her, and Jamie is there to take the camera away and toss it. At Thomas's home, someone strikes a lady as she lies down. It was Thomas's brother, Angus, and the lady he struck was his mother. Sarah comes to say hi and asks him why he did that. He tells her that you do not enter heaven if you end your life. That brings Sarah to ask Jamie what is happening. His response is if she wants to come with them somewhere. Then Sarah's dad, Dave, offers his condolences to Thomas's mom. She gives him an attitude and states that this would not have happened if he did his job properly. But it wasn't his son that passed away. He says he wants to collect Thomas's computer, and the mother tells him to get it from his room. The stairs are blocked, and no one wants to move, so he forces his way up there. Subsequently, there is a chat in response to Thomas's demise. Several members offer their input, and it concludes with one person asking who will be next. Later, Laurel comes to visit Sarah with her horse. Sarah is teaching the girl how to ride it. She soon dismounts the animal and says she's going to the lake, where she wants Sarah to be as well. At home, Sarah hears that her father brought a lady home. This makes her leave. She comes looking for Jamie, and a priest comes out, telling her where he is. She goes to the back and finds him working on a scooter. Angus is also there. The three of them go riding until they arrive near a lake. There the gang sneaks into an amusement park and enjoys the attractions rebelliously and for free. After that, they mess around at the beach, where Sarah wants Jamie to sing, though he doesn't want to. Near Sarah's house, Jamie tells her he does not have plans for tomorrow. They could do something together again. On another day, Sarah rides her horse and her dad asks her about Jamie. She tells him that he is okay. He asked because he is concerned with whom she spends time with. In a short time, he tells his daughter that he doesn't want her to see him anymore, but she replies that he need not worry. Then he tells his colleague that he got some results from Mark and Thomas's computers. The next scene has Sarah meeting Jamie again. He chases her with his scooter before they sit at a restaurant. In there, a man brings them their food and says he's sorry about Thomas. Sarah asks Jamie if Thomas was his best friend, and he nods his head. She follows that by asking if he knew everyone who ended their lives. He knew most of them. Sarah wants to know why he thinks they did it, but all he says is that the people around there keep themselves to themselves. Following that, they ride again. The whole crew is behind them. Near a train tunnel at night, one of them engages in a dangerous activity of swinging past an oncoming train. They now yell Thomas's name into the sky, and this time Sarah is among them. She gets on the rope next and plays the dangerous train game. Jamie shows concern about her action. The group has a fire raging, and they lose themselves in the water. The night covers and fills them with a vibrant energy to express their being. Later on, they see the police in the woods. Jamie holds Sarah and urges her not to look. She asks him if it's Laurel, and the scene shows that it is. Jamie leaves early with Sarah. They ride his scooter at night, both with their eyes closed. At dawn, she gives him her necklace and goes back home. Her father slaps her and demands to know where she was. When he tells her they had an agreement, Sarah tells him that he had one. He wants to know what happened to her and that she can't just vanish. If she wants to stay there, she has to do as he says. All of this makes the girl run to her room. He rushes after her and sees her crying at the door, prompting him to hug his daughter. Subsequently, Laurel's name gets added to the online list of those that have passed away. The members leave their commentary, mostly about her bad father. The last 2 comments state to trash the town and to take part in vengeance. Then the gang is seen doing exactly that to Laurel's father's convenience store. They graffiti vengeance in big letters inside, and Sarah finds Laurel's picture and takes it. Outside, the priest comes to them and says if they want to talk about anything, they can with him. The response one of them gives is by throwing his hat off and insulting the man. After that, the group engages in more drinking. One of them, Danny, takes Sarah into a room and gives her the password to their online community for their deceased friends. Shortly after, he tries engaging in intimacy with her, but Sarah does not want to do it. This makes him force it on her, and she struggles. However, Danny comes to his senses, stops, and apologizes. Jamie enters the room and tells Sarah she should leave. She says that nothing happened, and Danny states he just gave her the password. Yet Jamie insists that she follows his words, and Sarah leaves while crying. She comes home and hugs her father, telling him she thinks she did something wrong. He tells her that he has found a school for riding horses outside of town. She could be with her horse there every day, and he could visit her on the weekends. This prompts her to leave, and he almost yells that she can't be around her friends anymore. In the next scene, Dave takes her to that school. A lady shows Sarah what her room will be, and she does not know what to make of all this. Back at home, Sarah takes her horsewhip and harshly smacks her horse with it, causing the animal to run away. She yells for it to be free. Her father is there to see it happen, and becomes enraged. He angrily says that she is not allowed to do anything without his permission, and he immediately follows that statement by telling Sarah that her friends end their lives. She yells at him in return. The father takes her into her room and holds her in there. Then Dave comes to the gang and takes Jamie with force into his car. He tells him to stay away from his daughter. When he says that they take their own lives, Jamie states that's what Dave calls it, but that's not what he calls it. He also tells Dave that he will never understand what they do. The policeman replies that Jamie is not tough. He continues by saying Jamie could do what he wants, but that he should leave his daughter out of it. Jamie questions what will happen if he doesn't. He tries leaving, and Dave prevents him. Sarah is weak and not like him, says Dave. And Jamie's final statement in the car is that she's stronger than all of them. The next scene has Sarah watching the crew from her window. Danny comes to Jamie and wants to know if he said anything in the car. Jamie tells his friend that nothing was said, and they get into a struggle together. Later, Sarah logs onto the online community. She sits behind the computer, remembering all that they went through. She types a few words and gets a reply. That is all for the moment. On the following day, Dave comes to her in the kitchen and asks if they have milk. Sarah does not say anything to him. She leaves home and comes to knock on Jamie's house. He sits inside and hears her, but does not answer. Dave comes to Sarah and reminds her that Jamie was not to be seen by her. She runs from him to Danny, who happens to be outside. They need to find Jamie is what she tells him. She thinks he will do something awful. Her father comes and grabs her. At that point, Sarah tells Danny that Jamie is leaving town, while the girl gets taken away by her dad. Danny runs. Subsequently, Sarah sees Jamie walking from the school window. She runs out of class and calls out to him. When she catches him, he looks distraught. They start talking and Jamie says he heard voices calling his name. Sarah tells him it was her calling his name. She puts her hand on him and says that they should leave that place, but he cannot leave his friends, and Sarah assures him that he can. He agrees to it. The duo kisses and hugs. Afterward, they engage in an intimate act. Angus witnesses it. Later, Sarah sees Jamie outside a store. She tells him she will meet him at his house before running away. Soon after, Danny and 2 others come to Jamie and say they heard that he's leaving town. They start beating him for that. The scene shifts to Angus lying in a hospital bed. He tells Dave there that he saw Thomas and the others swimming in the lake. They looked happy and called out to him. After a few exchanges, Angus asks Dave if he taught Sarah to be a floozy. That causes the man to lose his temper and attack Angus. Sarah observes this act behind the window and leaves. She walks outside and sees Jamie in front. She runs to him, and he is shirtless and unconscious. She wakes him up and he reveals a bloody shoulder. Then she brings him to his home, where he rudely tells her to leave. He also says that he does not want her and that he never did. He grabs Sarah and wants her to understand that she's nothing to him. That is when the father takes her away, and she yells Jamie's name. To the father, she says that she loves Jamie. The girl adds that he doesn't know what that means. Sarah leaves the house, but her emotions take over and she knocks on the door again. She screams in agony due to what she just experienced. At night, Dave awakens and says he has to go to work to the lady in bed with him. She asks if she can stay the night. He sits inside his car, and its activated headlights reveal that Sarah is hanging. Dave loses his mind to such a horrific sight and rushes to cut her down. He gets on the ground with her and attempts to bring her back. The next scene has him sitting beside her in the hospital. She cannot hear him, but he offers comforting words. After him, the priest comes to her and says he did his best to pray for her. Jamie visits him in the church and quickly leaves. He visits Sarah in the hospital, takes her hand, and starts singing. Meanwhile, Dave stands in the woods, surrounded by fire. Sarah opens her eyes and sees Jamie present with her. He states that they need to get out of there, and they hear sirens in the distance. Jamie tries lifting her and starts crying in the process. Eventually, the couple evacuates the hospital along with others. They enter the woods and observe the fire. Sarah undresses and gets into the lake. As she swims further into it, the rest of the crew is swimming beside her.